Today we are going to be taking a look at a very effective build for the Necromancer class that you can probably take advantage of after only playing Diablo 4 for about a day or so. One thing that I really like about Diablo 4 is the perk setup for each of the classes. For people new to build crafting, this format is very user-friendly and in most cases is a matter of just matching elements, colors, or methods of attack. For this build, we are essentially going to be following the blood tree all the way down. This blood build not only causes tons of damage, but it has qualities that will return life to the user, making you almost invincible both close up and at range. So starting with Hemorrhage for the basic skill, it's great for both close and far range and has a chance to spawn a blood orb. Then you want to enhance it so that when you do spawn and pick up a blood orb, you not only deal damage to enemies around the target, but you also grant yourself essence every hit. Then I go with Acolyte's Hemorrhage, because when you're healthy, and with this build, you usually are, you increase your attack speed by 20%. Next, for the core skill, my attack of choice is the Blood Lance, mainly because I like to be aggressive, and Blood Surge, the one next to it, was leaning more toward a fortify build and defensive playstyle. You're going to want to enhance the Blood Lance so that it pierces through enemies, causing more damage. On this perk tree, I chose Supernatural Blood Lance next because after throwing 8 of these guys, the next attack is going to overpower and spawn a Blood Orb. This Blood Orb will synergize with your basic skill by increasing its attack speed so that you can build up your essence meter really fast, but also the overpower caused by the lance will decrease the cooldown of the next perk on the skill tree you should choose, which is Blood Mist. Blood Mist slows down enemy movement speed but also causes damage over time and also makes you immune if you get caught up in a group of enemies, which can be beneficial if you're close to death. The enhanced version of Blood Mist synergizes with the Blood Lance because when you overpower an enemy, your Blood Mist cooldown is reduced. Now this is where I want to bring up something very important, which is armor perks. Most of the legendary armor and above will have a special perk on it that allows even further build diversity per class. I have these boots here that have a special perk that causes corpses to explode when Blood Mist is activated, which by itself is pretty overpowered, making you immune and exploding everything around you. Next we have some of these smaller perks, starting with Gruesome Mending, which basically gives you 30% more healing when you're less than half life. We have Coalesce Blood, which increases blood skills when you're healthy, which, like I said earlier, you usually are. And we have Tides of Blood, which deals increased overpower damage when using the Blood Lance from earlier, and this damage is actually doubled when you're healthy. For the ultimate, I chose Blood Wave because when you upgrade it fully, you slow enemies by 50%, and you leave behind 3 blood orbs each time. And lastly, we want Rathma's Vigor because not only does it increase your overall health, but while you are healthy for 15 seconds, any blood skill after the fact you use will overpower, essentially making every attack that you do with this active to cause overpower. So as you can see, there is massive synergy here. Between overpowering enemies and constant blood orb spawn, your damage is always increased, you're constantly debuffing enemies, and you're almost always going to be at full health. Keep in mind, this is just a beginner build, so it may not be fully realized. At the time of making this video, I've only made it to level 32 and haven't put more than 20 hours into the game yet, making it a perfect beginner build, but definitely something that can be improved. So hopefully this build is somewhat useful. For any tips on how to make it better, or if you end up having as much success with it as I have in the early game, feel free to share in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.